What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, Wednesday evening, January 10th, we're going to be doing our wild card preview, the first round of the NFL playoffs. It's going to be just a quicker live stream tonight. I almost decided just to upload a video, but we went with the live stream anyways. So we're going to hop into a screen share here, and I'm just going to break down what I'm looking at over on DraftKings and some of the things on my site here. But interesting slate of games this week. We have the first game being Cleveland at the Houston Texans. The Cleveland Browns on the road here, favored by 2.5 points, 44.5 total implied in this one. It should be a fun game. I think this game being in Houston is a fun little wrinkle here. These two teams played together not too long ago, and CJ Stroud did not play in that game. So it's almost like none of that even matters. Nico Collins is healthy as well. Texans looking to kind of put some stamp on some things here. So I like the Texans here quite a bit. Let's look at the practice reports. I just want to see who's in and who's out, what's going on here. For the Cleveland Browns, back-to-back days DNP for Amari Cooper. Something to keep an eye on. I don't think he's 100% healthy. He finished the season really strong with Joe Flacco. I'm assuming he's going to be out there, but probably not 100% healthy right now. And then the kicker is not going to play. Dustin Hopkins, they'll have their backup kicker in there, and then we'll see about Cedric Tillman. So they might be down Cedric Tillman with a concussion injury. Otherwise, everything else looks okay. Some guys just getting some rest here on Tuesday, but definitely be aware of what's going on with Amari Cooper. Let me click into Houston, see who's in, who's out. Got a couple guys DNP on both days here. Noah Brown still not practicing with that back injury. A bunch of defensive ends here not practicing. Will Anderson, Jonathan Greenard, and Jerry Hughes. But otherwise, for fantasy offense, it looks pretty good here for Houston. We'll just have to monitor Noah Brown. And then, I'm not quite sure which one is going to be the way to bet into this game. I kind of want to think Houston's going to cover the spread 2.5, but we'll click into some things here and see what they're projecting here on DraftKings. I just want to look at the touchdown scores here. They're giving Devin Singletary and Nico Collins the best odds for a touchdown in this game at plus 105. So those two are interesting. Jerome Ford at plus 130. He's the top Brown to score. And then Kareem Hunt actually not too far behind here at plus 140. And then there's Amari Cooper. So we'll watch for the health of Amari Cooper here. That might rise if you wanted to buy that earlier. That could go up to maybe plus 115, plus 125, something like that. Otherwise, Njoku, I kind of like Njoku in this one. If we look back at that game, Browns, Texans, let's go ahead and look at that game from a few weeks ago. I'm going to go over to here. This was on December 24th, New Year's Eve game, Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. Let's look at it a little bit in detail. Joe Flacco threw two interceptions. He also threw 3 touchdowns here. They did win the game 36-22. Houston, kind of came back at the end, but it wasn't enough. Jerome Ford, 15 for 25 and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 7 for 11. So the Texans really stuffed the running game here. 30 carries for 54 yards. And they did get 2 touchdowns, but no run game for the Browns in that game. And that was the Amari Cooper game. 11 for 265 and 2. David Njoku, 6 for 44 and 1. As long as those two guys are out there, this team should move the ball. But curious, we'll see if the rushing game can get going this time. Davis Mills didn't play well, but he did throw for 2 touchdowns. Case Keenum came in, and he also threw 2 interceptions. Or maybe Case Keenum started. I can't remember. Singletary did okay, 9 for 44. Davis Mills, 2 for 9, whatever. Nice Dalton Schultz game, 8 for 61. But as I mentioned, Nico Collins, I think this was his first game back, 4 for 18 and a touchdown. But clearly, Houston not 100% here. But, man, I think there's momentum for Houston. The Browns didn't play their starters last week. Maybe Houston is the team to look at. So kind of interested there. We'll move on. And that's the first game on Saturday. Let's move on to the next game on Saturday. And we're looking at the Dolphins versus the Chiefs here. The Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites at home, 44 implied in this one. We'll look at the practice reports real quick and see what's going on here. Kansas City basically rested all their guys last week, so they should be in good shape. I'm looking for anybody on offense. Pacheco, full practice. We know he's had concussion and hamstring, I think, shoulder issues all season long. Noah Gray looks fine. Rashee Rice is back. Everybody's basically on full practice here. So Kansas City in good shape here. We'll watch for Kadarius Toney, but he's not really much of a factor at this point. On the Miami side, and they've been dinged up for last month or so, it seems like. The big one is probably Raheem Mostert. He's limited and limited, which I guess is progress towards him being available this weekend. Tyreek Hill also limited and limited, and Devon Achane limited and limited. If I had to guess, I think all three of those guys are probably on the field Sunday. And then Jalen Waddle, the other one, limited and limited. So I'm thinking Miami offense will be at full strength. I don't know if they're 100% healthy, but they're all going to be out there on the field in this one. And Deshaun Elliott, Javon Holland, Xavier Howard. We'll see about these guys. I did want to pull up the weather, because the weather is pretty bad in the Midwest up here this weekend, and it sounds like it's going to be bad over here in Kansas City. Let me go to Wildcard weekend here. Forecast coming soon. Well, let's go look at that. Let's look at Kansas City weather. I know it's going to be cold. There might be some wind coming in. Saturday. Okay. So bitterly cold. This is during the day. At night, bitterly cold, -6, partly cloudy skies during the evening. Will give way to cloudy skies overnight. Low of -6 degrees. Winds northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So not looking good there. The start time for this game, what time does this game start at? 7:15 at night. So it's going to be frigid cold. That kind of puts the damper on Miami's offense a little bit, but you never know. This will affect both teams, I think, quite a bit. And yeah, man, they're calling for -6. It's going to be 8 degrees, but with that wind chill, -6 here. So very, very cold game. Did these two teams play each other earlier in the year? I can't recall. Let's see the Kansas City Chiefs schedule. Did they play Miami? I don't remember. Miami. Okay, so back in week 9, Kansas City versus Miami. This one was at Kansas City, and they were able to pull it off 21-14. Let's look at the box score here just to see what was going on. Kansas City scored all 21 points in the first half. Miami scored all 14 of their points in the second half. Mahomes, 2 touchdowns, 185 yards. Pacheco, 66 yards. Not a big offensive day here. Noah Gray was the leading receiver. Travis Kelce, 3 for 14. So this Miami defense really held them to not a lot of numbers here. 93 rushing yards is okay, but only 174 passing yards. That's not going to cut it from Mahomes. Tua, 193 and a touchdown. Raheem Mostert played well, 12 for 85 and a touchdown. No Devon Achane on this one, so that might be the difference here. Tyreek, 8 for 62. Waddle, 3 for 42. So no Achane. We'll see if the Chiefs can kind of get some more things going here. Kelce, 3 for 14. That's pretty crazy. I think, this was the Frankfurt game way back in September or October here. So I don't know if we can learn too much about this game. It's a neutral site game. Mahomes and the Chiefs were able to pull it out. But let's open it up and look at some things a little bit here. Top touchdown scorers. They're giving Pacheco a touchdown. He's the only one with minus odds. So -140 on Pacheco to score. They do have Kelce, number 2, at +100. Tyreek Hill, +120. And then right now they're giving Achane more touchdown numbers here than Raheem Mostert. So +115 for Achane, +135 for Mostert. And again, like I said, I do expect the Dolphins to have everybody out there, but I don't know. Let's see how this is going to go. I want to look at the fantasy points allowed numbers here. And let's see what we got. Can I type in Miami? All right, so Miami's defense here. They were allowing the 19th most points per game. They were pretty generous against QBs and a little bit more generous against wide receivers. Very good against the running backs, though. The Dolphins, I pull up the numbers against running backs here. Miami ranked 8th, only about 19 points a game here. So if Kansas City wants to get this game going, they have to get Pacheco going. That's going to be the one to watch. I think if Pacheco has a good game, the Chiefs are more likely to win. And Kansas City is a really good run defense too. They're only giving up about 20 points per game here to the running back. So Achane and Mostert, I think just with the weather, like this game's going to be all about Pacheco versus Miami's duo of Mostert and Achane. And if I'm correct, let's take a look here. The Dolphins are bad against wide receivers here, so it might be a Rashee Rice opportunity here. I think he would be a decent play if you're doing any lineups or betting. And then the Dolphins are bad against tight ends. So Kelce, Rice, and Pacheco, we know that's the offense. I think that's going to be what I lean with. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be able to pull it off at home. I'm not sure, though, if that 4.5 is enough. This game should be tight. Again, the Chiefs were able to win by 7 back in Frankfurt on a neutral field. These teams are a lot different, though, and no Achane in this game here. I might give the Dolphins the 4.5. This game might be down to a field goal. But fun game. Let's move on to the Sunday games here. The Steelers and the Bills. Not my most favorite game of the weekend here. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Buffalo 10-point favorites here, 36-point total. It's weird because this is the largest spread of 10 points, and it's also the lowest game total of 36 total points here. So it's probably not going to be the best game to watch. Obviously, TJ Watt has been ruled out already in this one. Let's go ahead and look at the Steelers injury reports. And I know it's early. These guys play on Sunday. They're not going to have too much information out on Wednesday today. But Najee Harris didn't practice today with a knee injury. He's going to be fine. They already did rule out TJ Watt. We'll see about this offensive guard here, Samalo. And everything else looks fine here. But obviously the big one is TJ Watt. I expect the rest of the Steelers to be relatively healthy. On the Buffalo Bills side of things, Gabe Davis basically not going to play. He's got a knee PCL issue. Maybe if the Bills win, and they should win, maybe he is a guy that can be ready to go next week. The two that I'm really watching, though, is on defense. Rasul Douglas and Taylor Rapp. Both those guys got injured last week. Did not practice to open the week here. Not sure if they're going to be able to go. Buffalo's defense has been kind of dinged up, and we'll see what happens there. But we kind of expect Buffalo to do what they need to do. You know, this game's going to be in Josh Allen's hands. There's no TJ Watt. The 10-point spread is kind of a lot, even though it's in Buffalo, but a low point total here. A little bit nervous about that. The touchdown scores, they're saying Josh Allen's going to run for one, -110. That's the best odds to score a touchdown in this game. I do like James Cook. And then, I mean, I don't expect Gabe Davis to play. So once he gets ruled out, Stephon Diggs' numbers might tighten up a little bit. Maybe Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid's numbers bump up a little bit. Let's look at the fantasy points allowed here. I just want to see how good of a matchup we're looking at for our Bills players and Bills and Steelers guys. All right, so both pretty good against the QB. Pittsburgh 11th here, allowing about 15 points per game. The Bills rank 6th, so we'll give the advantage to Josh Allen. Fantasy points allowed to the running back here, both the same. I'm going to give the slight advantage to James Cook. I like the Steelers, but they use two backs. If you're playing a running back, you want to get James Cook in there. But I do think Jalen Warren can be a weapon in this one. If the Steelers are playing from behind, that means more Warren in the passing game here. So I would rank them Cook, Warren, Najee Harris. The receiver points here, Steelers about average, Bills a little bit tighter, but again, we mentioned the injuries to Rasul and a couple other players on defense. This is going to be Stephon Diggs' game. If there's going to be a game here, it's going to be in Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen's hands. And then against tight end, the Steelers are pretty bad. They rank 25th here, so I wouldn't be surprised if Dalton Kincaid has himself a nice little game here. So kind of like the Kincaid plus 360 here. If no Gabe Davis, that means it's Diggs, it's Cook, obviously Josh Allen with the legs, but otherwise Dalton Kincaid might be a fun bet here. So Steelers at Bills, I don't know if I trust, again, I don't know if I trust that -10 here, but I do think Buffalo has a chance to do what they want. This game's going to be fun. The Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. We're watching a lot of practice reports here for Green Bay. They're still not sure if they're getting their star receiver back, Christian Watson. A.J. Dillon, questionable with the neck. He was the only player not to practice today for the Packers. You have Christian Watson all the way down here with a limited participant. So good news here. Packers got a lot of guys questionable. Romeo, Jair, Elgton Jenkins, Aaron Jones, a couple other secondary players here. But I would say Aaron Jones is going to play. I would assume Romeo Doubs is going to play, but he didn't finish the game last week, if I recall. So we'll watch for Doubs tomorrow and Friday. But I still don't know about Christian Watson. I would have loved to see him play last week and get on the field, but he did not. So we'll watch the health of him. Jaden Reed's fine after his chest scare. And then Luke Musgrave got his legs back underneath him last week. So he's good to go. So basically just Dillon and Watson for the Packers. On the Cowboys side of things, Stephon Gilmore got hurt. He left that game early last week. I'm looking at this is a true 50-50. I don't know anything about Stephon Gilmore here, but did not practice to start the week. And then Jonathan Hankins here, a rotational defensive tackle. A couple guys just getting a couple days off. Cowboys look to be in pretty good health here. These teams did not play each other this year, but we all, of course, know the splits of Dallas at home. That's where they want to be. And they're giving 7.5 to Dallas here, 50 total implied, 50.5 total implied on this one. I like this one. The Packers offense has been one of the better offenses the last month or so, and the Cowboys, again, at home. This one probably goes over 50. I would imagine 3 touchdowns on each side for sure, and whoever gets that 4th touchdown is probably going to end up doing it. So upwards of 6 to 7 touchdowns in this game with maybe a couple field goals. probably gets it over 50 points. Look at the touchdowns. I think in the other games, there wasn't a lot of teams that had minus players to score, but they're giving touchdowns to CD, Pollard, and Aaron Jones in this one. Even Jake Ferguson's got a plus 130 next to his name here. So it's looking like they like Dak to throw some points here. Let's go ahead and look here at what Dallas and Green Bay are giving up for points. It wasn't too long ago, man. Green Bay's defense gave up the NFC Player of the Week to like Baker Mayfield, Tommy DeVito, and Bryce Young all in a row. So like, I have a feeling advantage Dak Prescott in this one. I still like Jordan Love because he can move with his legs. But both teams, okay, there's not a glaring obvious matchup here. Packers middle of the road, Cowboys a little bit tighter. I'll give the edge to Dak Prescott just a little bit here because he's at home. The running back points here, Green Bay ranks 20th, Dallas ranks 9th. We'll give it. I don't really trust the Cowboys to run with Tony Pollard. I think I'm going to give the edge to Aaron Jones in the passing game. He's ran for over 100 yards, and I think 3 straight games. I'm thinking Aaron Jones is the running back I'd rather play. Receivers, Green Bay, pretty good against receivers too. They rank top 10. Dallas Cowboys rank 5th. CeeDee Lamb, he's going to continue to do what he does. I would expect him to score a touchdown. He's the guy that's probably my favorite to score a touchdown in this game. But Green Bay is good somehow. Like they got rid of a lot of their it doesn't make sense. They still have Jair, got rid of Rasul. They lost Eric Stokes. Their secondary has a bunch of guys that you don't know the names, but they somehow play okay. Green Bay likes to have teams run the ball on them, so maybe they dare Tony Pollard to get carries and not so much Dak Prescott. But CeeDee Lamb, that's the matchup here. If CeeDee Lamb can do big things, that's exactly what Green Bay does not want. So they want them to run the ball, and we'll see. Jaden Reed. Play Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed's been on fire lately. And then keep an eye on Dontavian Wicks. If you need someone cheap in your lineups or anything like that, Dontavian Wicks has been great. Tight ends, Dallas is really good against tight end. Green Bay's been using Kraft lately the last month and a half, and he's been fantastic. But otherwise, Luke Musgrave's back. Go with Jake Ferguson if you need a tight end in this one. But man, it's these teams are both good. Like the Packers defense, it's got decent numbers, but they give up a lot of big plays and a lot of third down conversions here. I think just looking at this one, we expect the Cowboys to score at least, 3 touchdowns. It's just a matter of, does CD get 2? Does Pollard get 2? What gets them to the 4th touchdown? I have a feeling Green Bay is going to keep this one closer than people expect. If the Packers can go in there and put up, a touchdown and a field goal or something in the first quarter and kind of just get themselves a decent foundation for the rest of the game, that's what's going to, be their recipe to win the game. Cowboys probably win it, but I think the Packers cover the 7.5. Fun game though. They're giving the Cowboys plus 310 defensive touchdown. So interesting. And they're also, wow, they're not giving Jordan Love a rushing touch. They're giving him plus 500 for a rushing touchdown, and they're giving Dak plus 280. That's kind of backwards in my opinion. Good evening, Sport Dog. I don't have any skin in the game. Our league ended in week 16 with Dallas back on track. Does Green Bay have a chance running, or is the pass what they need to have any chance? I'm glad you asked. I also don't have any skill. I'm basically at this point, I'm just doing either probably DraftKings, maybe a little bit of sports bets this weekend. No, I have a couple best balls, but otherwise, Packers recipe, I think in this one, obviously the Cowboys, we know they're good. We know they are good. They're the 3rd best defense this season, allowing fantasy points here. I think the advantage that Green Bay has is they got a lot of weapons, man. You're talking Aaron Jones, you're talking Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, 2 tight ends, maybe Christian Watson, maybe A.J. Dillon. They have a lot of weapons that they can distribute the ball to, so that could keep, Dallas's defense on its heels if they're continuing to spread the ball out. I think that's the best way, and the best way to do that, I think, is through the pass. I think Green Bay is going to want to throw the ball and open up the run. Aaron Jones has looked fantastic the last 3 games here. They get him going. They get some quick, easy passes. Green Bay's best way to win this game, I think, is to score early and kind of maintain. They do not want to be playing from behind. So I have a feeling we're going to know the vibe of this game within the first couple drives. If Green Bay's not having success, that's going to be a long afternoon for them. So I think it's a balance of both. The way they've been playing the last few games on offense, Jordan Love's been very efficient, getting the ball out quickly, not taking sacks, not making a lot of stupid tight throws. He's just been getting the ball out to his checkdowns, finding the deep play when it's there, and running the ball successfully with Aaron Jones. I think it's a blend. It's a combination of things. And just when you have like it might be one of those games where you see a stat where Jordan Love has, his first 10 completions are to 7 or 8 different receivers. They're just spreading the ball out and finding the weakness in the defense. That to me is Green Bay's best chance of winning this game. But I'm excited. We'll see if the Packers can keep up. I don't think the Packers will win, but I do think they're going to show a good fight in Dallas. This game is probably the best game of the weekend. Rams at the Lions. You have the fun matchup of Stafford returning to Detroit, Jared Goff defending against Matthew Stafford and the Rams. A fun little wrinkle to this. And this game's got the most implied points of the weekend, 51.5. Lions 3-point home favorites. And I'm kind of nervous about that. I think the Rams are coming into this one feeling pretty good about themselves. Lions, they're probably not going to get Sam Laporta back this week. Let's open up those reports. Laporta DNP with a knee. Khalif Raymond, their special teams kind of wide receiver 3-4, questionable the knee injury. Those are two big dings on offense here because, I mean, those guys, when it wasn't Gibbs or Amon-Ra or David Montgomery making plays, it was these guys stepping up. So they might have to pull up some other players. Maybe Jameson Williams and Josh Reynolds get a little bit more on their plate this week. But two significant offensive and special teams changes here. So Detroit, other than those two, they look to be in pretty good health. You got a lot of full practices and a couple, guys just resting today. So that looks fine there. If I go over to the Rams already rested most of their guys last weekend. So I'm feeling good about their schedule here. Jordan Fuller, questionable. Noteboom, the tackle, questionable. And Troy Reader, a backup linebacker, I believe. But otherwise, I would say the Rams look to be in good shape here. We'll see about Tyler Higbee. But otherwise, Lions kind of limp into this one. I know they won some games to end the year, but that Laporta loss stings quite a bit. In terms of touchdowns in this game, they're giving one to Gibbs, to Monty, and Kieran Williams. I think the running backs are where it's going to be. One of these guys probably doesn't score. I think it's a lot of touchdowns. They're putting Sam Laporta here at plus 125. I think right now I would probably go ahead and lock in the St. Brown touchdown just because I have a feeling he's going to be the guy that leads the team in targets, receptions, yards. So I would be interested in that plus 110 ticket for Amon-Ra. And then Puka, man. Puka's been on fire the last few games. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think you're probably looking at, again, upwards of 6 to 7 touchdowns in that game. So don't be afraid to spread it around. You can do the one of my favorite bets is like when you see two players on the same team and they're plus odds, take them together. You can put, say you put 20 down on a Puka touchdown, it's going to pay out 42. If Puka scores and Cooper Kupp doesn't, you're still making your money back. If there's a chance both these guys score, that's where the big win comes. But basically, it's a 1-for-2 bet. If one of the guys scores, you get your money back at least in a little extra. But let's look at the numbers in this one. Detroit, we'll kind of punch these in here. All right, at the top here, Lions defense not great. They ranked 25th on the year. The Rams about average. The Lions and the Rams both really bad against QB. So this might be a game that gets out of hand pass happy here. Both teams allowed over 4,000 passing yards, 24 to 28 touchdowns. The Lions with more interceptions. The Rams only got 10 interceptions on the year. But overall, I think both teams allowing 19 fantasy points per game to the quarterback. This is, if you're setting a DraftKings lineup, I think this game and the Green Bay Packers-Cowboys game is where you want to pick your quarterback from. The running backs, you're looking at the top two teams in the entire NFL this year in fantasy points allowed at the position. These two were the best, both about 16 points per game to running back. So the strength of this team, for the Rams, it's Kieran Williams, and then the 1-2 punch of Monty and Gibbs. On paper here, tough matchups for both these guys, and you can see the touchdown odds were in their favor. The Rams only gave up 7 touchdowns all year to running backs, and the Lions only gave up 9. So, that's almost like a 50% chance that these guys score, but I would lean into the running backs, I think, this week. So the Lions were really good all year long. Really strong against rushing yards. You can run on the Rams here. They didn't really score a lot, though. And then the receptions here are pretty good here. So we'll see. But otherwise, the wide receivers, Lions very bad against wide receivers. So I like Puka and Cooper Kupp. Maybe, I don't know if is Tutu Atwell playing? I don't know. Demarcus Robinson's been a nice dart throw lately here too. And the Rams are pretty bad against receiver as well. But I would lean into Puka. I would lean into to Cooper Kupp. I think I'm probably going to end up setting a lineup where I go with Stafford, Puka, and Cooper Kupp and just do a big Stafford returns stack. And then both teams below average against tight end. I think with no Laporta, no Higbee, I'm not really interested in the tight end. So it's all feeling back to the receivers, Puka, Cooper, as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then it's going to be risky, but if you want to take a chance on Josh Reynolds, Jameson Williams, those guys are going to have opportunities to make some big plays in this one. But again, I'm leaning toward like the Lions defense is not great. Stafford coming back home, like man, this one has the makings to me of the Rams. I think I'm going to take the +3 for the Rams in this one, even if they don't win. They can still cover that 3 easily. But I do think the Rams come in here and upset the Detroit Lions. They just haven't really looked like a juggernaut the last month and a half or so. Ever since Thanksgiving, really, they've kind of stumbled. But let's finish up with our last game here. The Eagles at the Buccaneers. Eagles on the road. They're 3-point favorites, 44 implied in this one. We have to watch the health of a few guys. We're looking at A.J. Brown on Philadelphia, who injured, and it's Monday. This game's on Monday night, so we don't have the reports in here yet, but there's a chance A.J. Brown doesn't play in this game. And I saw Jalen Hurts has an issue with his ring finger on his throwing hand, so pay attention to the Eagles reports over the coming days here. I'm not sure what's going on here. If I look at the numbers here for touchdowns, they're giving one to Hurts, Rashad White. A.J. Brown is in here. But man, I think if there's an upset brewing, like this might be the one. You're talking about the Eagles losing a lot of games to end the season. Their defense is very bad, very, very bad. They were 31st on the season in allowing fantasy points per game, and they were one of the worst teams against quarterback all season long, allowing 20 fantasy points per game to quarterback. They allowed 35 passing touchdowns. That's over 2 per game. So Baker Mayfield, I think if there's a bet out there where he's at 1.5 touchdowns, I'm taking the over in this one. The Eagles here dead last against wide receivers. They allowed 27 touchdowns to wide receivers. That's about 1.5 touchdowns per game here. So I think, to me, I'm looking at Mike Evans. That's the guy. In terms of passing props here, if I look at passing touchdowns, I'm going to go Baker Mayfield. I'm probably going to pair that with a Mike Evans touchdown. I think that's where this team wants to go. Baker Mayfield probably having a good game. Mike Evans, I know he's having a good game. It's just a matter, can Chris Godwin have a good game? Can Rashad White run the ball? The Eagles are actually surprisingly good against the run. Well, maybe not surprisingly here. That's one of their better spots on defense, but it's hard to run on them. I don't think Rashad White's going to have success through running the ball, but passing and catching the ball, I think that's where he can. The Eagles were pretty bad, allowing 80 receptions to running backs this year. So I like White catching the ball. A lot of unknowns on the Eagles side here. If I'm assuming Jalen Hurts is going to play through it, but if they don't have A.J. Brown, man, you're looking at Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert and DeAndre Swift getting a lot of work on their plate here. And Tampa Bay's defense, man, like they're very good against the run. I'm not expecting a huge Swift game if that's the case, but you can, very similar defenses. You can throw on both the Eagles and the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay pretty bad against wide receivers, quarterbacks, and I believe tight ends here as well. Let me just type that in here. Both bottom half units against the tight end position here. So I can't really give as much of a good preview on this one. But again, we're watching the health of A.J. Brown. I'm assuming Jalen Hurts is going to play, but it just feels like an upset's brewing here. I'm probably going to go Tampa Bay +3 here. The Eagles just have not been themselves for the last month and a half. They've had a lot of injuries and just weird things on defense. Tampa Bay, you're feeling pretty good about the matchup here. I think between Green Bay, the Rams, and the Eagles, you probably would take the Eagles as the team you want to play here. So to recap here, I guess with my picks, I'm going to go back here, and this is just going to be my picks straight up. I'm not picking against the spread or the totals or anything. Give me the Texans to win. Give me the Chiefs to win. Give me the Bills. Give me the Cowboys. Give me the Rams, and give me the Buccaneers. Those are my wild card predictions for the week. And those may change if things pop up over the week here. But we got Sport Dog coming in here saying, will the fellowship run the same format next year? I like what you did. The Fantasy Football Playbook. I saved us a lot of time using it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the format is. I would like to run the playbook back for sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to paywall it this year. I did run it out for free, and I got a lot of people using it. So I like that it was free and accessible for everybody to use. I might put a bunch of free stuff on there, and then if to get behind a paywall, there might be like a little $5 or $10 fee to get the projections. But not sure what I want to do yet. I do want to get something on the website, but there will be there will be free rankings and there will be free content out for sure. But I think I have to figure out what I want to do yet. I'm not quite sure. But the playbook I thought worked really well last year. There was a lot of free content and good things for everybody to get prepped for their draft. So I like to do something similar. I'm just not sure how I want to present it yet, but there will definitely be some draft prep and some guide stuff coming for you guys. But that's going to do it for me. I'm out of town for the rest of the weekend. So enjoy, guys. Good luck with all your sports betting, fantasy leagues, playoff leagues, whatever you got, pick'ems. And yeah, thank you guys. Good luck. We'll see you next time. Peace.